both teams pick a pretty good team composition. The KT Bullets ends up going for a much more aggressive early game team composition. They really try to they really need to win early because of how this game is going to play out for them. Because if they let it go into the late game, of course, this Jax is just going to get huge, and that's going to really be the big problem for them, because they don't have there's very few champions in the game that can deal with Jax. And they do manage to get an early lead, and we're going to kind of see them throw it away a little bit. And I want to kind of talk about why that happens, what Najin White Shield did right to deal with them and their sieging, and then how Najin White Shield kind of sieged effectively on their own part to take control of this game. So yeah, without further ado, now that we've seen the draft, once we see this last pick, I believe it was Thresh. No, Thresh is banned. I don't even remember what their pick was. Wow. Was it Sona? Okay, it was Sona. So Najin White Shield actually has a very good late game comp. They have a very good sieging comp, which means the KT Bullets need to make some aggressive early plays and play the kind of pick composition role. And they actually do that. They do that effectively, and they try to make some aggressive plays, but it kind of backfires on them a little bit. They make a few mistakes which really go awry. So let's go ahead and just fast forward to 2 hours, 16 minutes, 30 seconds and into the stream, where the KT Bullets already have a pretty big lead. They've taken, I believe, 2 dragons. The kill score is even, but they've taken 2 dragons, and they're in a very good position, because actually what happened is they got these 2 top towers. They had some really good early game pushes that went on for them using the Nami and the Caitlyn, and I think they may have even 4-manned it to get those top towers. I don't remember exactly, but they have this early game lead, and Jax right now, Save, is just trying to freeze this wave on top, farm for as long as possible, and get back into this game. And we're gonna see the KT Bullets kind of I don't disagree with this play. I think it would have been better for them to siege mid, because of course this tier 1 tower is still up, but they chose to siege the bottom. So honestly, that's their first mistake right now. Their first mistake is choosing to, after the dragon, siege and rotate to the bottom. And what this does is it puts them in a position where they can be flanked very easily. This Lee Sin is a huge threat from the flank, and with the Gragas ultimate coming across, it's going to be hard for them to get away. And then of course Sivir pops her ult, Sona pops her ult. There's just no escaping from this if the KT Bullets come from the flanks. So this siege is happening. They kind of siege the tower for a bit, get some damage on it, so everything's going fine for right now. But of course, Lucian was open and they didn't take it, and I really think they should have, because we're seeing they aren't able to get a whole lot of damage down on this tower yet. So they get a little bit greedy under the tower. We saw the dive from Cacao there, and they have to blow his flash to get out. And of course, Score has to tank some hits of the tower to save him. So now what happens is, let's actually look at Ryu. Ryu is almost out of mana, whereas Goong isn't. So they were fighting this whole time in the mid, and Ryu gets down to low mana, and he does rotate quicker, but it doesn't matter. So at this point, the KT Bullets, because Ryu has nothing, he can't help them at all. they should back away. I think if Ryu had mana, this would have been fine for them. Even though, you know, they're not playing it perfectly, I think it would have been fine. But instead, they choose to keep sieging this bottom lane, and they should have seen this coming, because Goong was right there next to Ryu. And they just don't rotate quick enough. Goong gets in here, gets a cask on 3, and Cacao ends up going down. I believe that was the only kill. Yeah, so but again, Ryu has no mana here. He can't do anything. He can look at them funny, but what good does that do? So meanwhile, this entire time, Save is free farming the top lane. Thank you, Spectator, for giving us some really excellent footage. I love the Korean spectators. So Ryu, of course, not able to get in there. Good defensive play by Najin Whiteshield, but the KT Bullets keep sieging the bottom lane. Like, it's their bottom lane, so you could argue that they're just laning, but the thing is, they have no presence on the map right now, and of course, Save is still free farming the top lane. He is catching up. And this ends up being pretty bad. And really, the KT Bullets would have won this game if they had played it better. But Najin Whiteshield, even after that, already has the gold advantage. So now, Nofe realizes, yeah, they're not going anywhere. What if I just come in here and gank them? So he does that. Let's watch him on the mini-map right now. He's walking, he's walking, he's walking. Whoops. Whoops! My bad. So he comes in from behind, Mafa dies. Pretty unfortunate. Yep. And, well, not even unfortunate. That was just, you know, bad play by the KT Bullets. They were sitting on that bottom lane for so long that their wards expired, and then Nofe capitalized on it. So they had this really large lead, and over a period of like 2 minutes, they managed to completely throw it away. And with Najin Whiteshield's team composition, they're going to be able to take over the game. So then let's fast forward quite a bit to 2:35:30, where the next really big thing happens. Alright. So this is a dragon siege, and then it's going to end up rotating to the mid lane. So what happens is Najin Whiteshield actually just doing a pretty good job of controlling this dragon. Cacao tries to get in there to see what's going on, but Najin Whiteshield just collapsed on him. Nofe, I love Nofe's Lee Sin play in this series. He was so patient with his abilities. He actually doesn't use his ultimate yet. He puts his Q on him and then waits for Cacao to go over this wall. Then he reactivates his Q, gets behind Cacao, and then uses his ultimate to cut him off, keep him from getting away, and Cacao ends up going down. So they should be able to secure this dragon. In theory, there's no way that they lose this dragon. They have the Lee Sin to get that execute damage from his Q, but actually Ryu ends up getting in there. So just kind of a missed smite by Nofe, and a little bit of luck from Ryu manages to get that for him. But anyway, overall a good play by Najin Whiteshield, other than, you know, the pretty pivotal mistake. So then Najin Whiteshield, with their powerful sieging composition, rotate mid, get some poke on score there, and they just get this tower because they have the positional advantage. Actually, really, Gorilla's Sona play was far from impressive. He whiffed so many ultimates, and you could argue that that was Goong's mistake rather than Gorilla's, but they were going for the tower. They didn't particularly care about killing score, so they stacked their ultimates. Didn't work out. It's kind of just bad communication. You can't even particularly blame Gorilla, but Gorilla made some other mistakes this game that were kind of terrible. But anyway, then of course with vision control here, they catch Ryu, and he has to run away. Static Shiv actually picks up the kill there, and I believe Zephyr, no, Zephyr doesn't get away, but they get 2 kills just because they establish vision control and they have that mid lane pushed up. And a little bit of a bad rotation from Ryu, of course, causes that to go awry. So at this point, Najin White Shield pretty decisively in control of this game. So let's fast forward about 4 minutes. To 2:40:30. Nope, wrong. So now it's late enough into the game that both teams are thinking about Baron, and White Shield makes a really good play. Because up to this point, like, Najin White Shield has been pretty straightforward about what they're doing. They've gone for objectives, they haven't really baited that much. So KT thinks, okay, let's push up the mid lane while we can't see them, and just try to gain some map control back, and then we'll check the Baron. But what ends up happening is Najin White Shield, because they control this, they end up getting behind them and starting a really good fight. So KT is even trying to play this carefully, but it just doesn't work out. And they almost disengage here. I think they do disengage. Yeah, so they disengage, but look at how much damage the KT bullets have taken, and Najin White Shield is still near full health, so they actually do it again. KT thinks, no, they wouldn't do that a second time. We're totally safe to push the mid lane out. And then they do it a second time. So this actually secures them Baron. And Gorilla almost goes down, but it's okay. They get this pushed out, and rather than over chasing in the mid lane, they make the rotation to Baron. Najin White Shield making some really good objective-based play calls. And really, honestly, do they do it again? I haven't watched this in a couple days, but it would be hilarious if they did it again and got a kill on Cacao. Yeah. Oh, I remember this. This was a really cool kill. Another Static Shiv proc gets the kill here. So just repeatedly baiting the KT bullets in. You'd think they would learn, but they don't. You'd think they would learn, but they don't. So yeah, they pick up the kills there. And then eventually rotate to Baron. I'm sorry that I've misinformed you. They actually pick up the kill on Mata too. There we go. I took notes on this. I should really know what happens, but I guess I don't. I guess I'm bad at whatever I'm doing. Anyway, eventually they're like, yeah, let's just straight up bait Baron. I mean, they don't even have to go for Baron. Like, that's the thing. I don't know if Najin White Shield actually ever went for Baron. I'm really sorry about all the weird calls here, but they're just realizing that the KT bullets is gonna keep checking them, and they're gonna keep getting kills off of this. Let's actually go back to when all this started, and we'll look at like 2 minutes ago, and we'll look at what the gold was at. So at this point, it was 43.5 to 49.5. So that is a 6k gold lead. Now fast forward 2 minutes. They've extended their lead from 6k to let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost 8k, about 7,500 gold lead, which is huge. They gained like an extra 1,500 gold over those 2 minutes, and just by repeatedly baiting Baron. That was the perfect example of sieging, controlling the map, controlling vision, and then KT Bullets was basically playing a different game than them. Najin Whiteshield was playing the Baron game, baiting Baron, setting up for it, and controlling